Welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm Tammy Dorr, President and CEO of the Downtown Denver Partnership and co-chair of Denver Startup Week. This year marks the 10-year anniversary of Denver Startup Week. DSW has been the catalyst for lots of change over the past decade. And this week, we're coming together to celebrate the past and dream big for the future. We are able to bring Denver Startup Week to this community thanks to our 2021 sponsors. Thank you to our HQ and title sponsor, Amazon, and our title sponsors whose leadership makes this week come to life. Capital One Cafe, Downtown Denver Partnership, Fluid Truck, Hotel Engine, and WeWork. And our track sponsors who have made all of the great content you're hearing today possible, our founder track sponsor, Kickstart, growth track sponsor, Friday Health Plans, developer track sponsor, Quizlet, product track sponsor, Palantir, our designer track sponsor, Battery 621, and the Public Works, people track sponsor, Exactly, and spotlight event sponsor, Strat Labs. Our headline event sponsors are bringing the excitement to the week. Thank you to B-Side Fund, Colorado Public Radio, Comcast, Coors Brewing, Denver Pavilions, Entrepreneurship at the University of Denver, JP Morgan Chase, Method, Moss Adams, Pi Insurance, Promontory Mortgage, Path, Southwest, Tattered Cover, and VF Venture Foundry. Finally, thank you to our partner and member sponsors, all listed on the screen. Please say thank you to these companies as you enjoy our hybrid Denver Startup Week. And don't forget, use the hashtag DenStartupWeek to share your experiences and moments of inspiration on social media. Have a great week.
Hello, Denver Startup Week. This is Elizabeth Neufeld, the CEO and founder of Strat Labs. On behalf of my incredible team, I'd like to welcome you all to the Spotlight track. We are so incredibly happy to be a sponsor for this awesome event and believe there are so many incredible opportunities out there for everyone throughout the week. Our agency empowers purpose-driven brands through strategic marketing and communications. We do this by refining your story, amplifying your voice, and helping you find your audience. There is no better way. We hope that you'll join us on Wednesday at 4 o'clock for our panel, When Activism Meets Entrepreneurship. Can you have a profitable career while also changing the world? We think you can, and so do these incredible panelists, although it may not be easy. See you there.
Hello everyone, welcome to Denver Startup Week. I'm John, the Spotlight Track Chair and member of the Denver Startup Week Organizing Committee. Before we get started, the Denver Startup Week Organizing Committee acknowledges Indigenous people as the original owners of the land on which we reside, which is the traditional territory of the Ute, Cheyenne, and Arapaho peoples. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide, ethnic cleansing, stolen land, forced removal, forced occupation of their territory. And we honor those who have stewarded this land throughout generations and all other indigenous tribes and nations who call Colorado home. Thank you for joining us for the 10th anniversary of Denver Startup Week. At Denver Startup Week, we strive to make all of our sessions a space where attendees can connect, learn, and grow, regardless of age, gender identity, gender expression, race, ability, sexual orientation, or the combination of those identities. There is something for everyone at DSW. Thanks to all of our community members who submitted their best content to make this week what it is. And thank you for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors for their support in helping us keep DSW free and accessible for all, especially our Spotlight track sponsor, Strat Labs. With that, please enjoy this session and the entire week.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Bootcamps, Accelerators, and More. Which is the right one for you? My name is Carrie Singer, and I am the Small Business Services Program Manager for the Denver Economic Development and Opportunity Office. So excited to have all of you joining us this morning. I am going to first introduce our panelists, and share a little bit about each of their organizations. We will then engage in a panel discussion, saving the last 10 minutes or so for Q&A. So I'd like to begin by introducing our first panelist, Teresa Densmore. She is the manager with the Commons on Champa. The Commons on Champa is a nonprofit community resource and economic development initiative established to foster innovation and entrepreneurship in building an inclusive, vibrant local economy. Founded in 2012, the Commons is powered by the Downtown Denver Partnership with public-private support from the City and County of Denver, Colorado Technology Association, and many others. The Commons has emerged as a nationally recognized model for economic development that embraces the power of entrepreneurship. Thank you for being here today, Teresa. Next, I'd like to introduce Makisha Boothe, the founder of SistahBiz Global Network. Black women entrepreneurs are the fastest growing, but among the lowest funded and lowest earning groups of entrepreneurs in the country. SistahBiz Global Network is a business accelerator, providing affordable options for coaching, training, and services to Black women to help them build scalable, sellable models and access the back office support, financial and social capital that they need to play big in business. Thank you for being here, Makisha. Next, Kevin Kudra, Investment Operations Manager for the Rockies Venture Club. The Rockies Venture Club is the longest running angel investing group in the USA. For 30 years, Colorado has looked to the Rockies Venture Club to connect investors, service providers, and entrepreneurs. The Rockies Venture Club is a nonprofit organization that specializes in connecting innovative entrepreneurs with Colorado's investment community through angel investing groups throughout the state, educational programs, entrepreneur masterminds, monthly pitch and educational events, and annual conferences, including the Angel Capital Summit and the Colorado Capital Conference. And finally, we have Sera Muñiz with the Rocky Mountain Microfinance Institute. The Rocky Mountain Microfinance Institute creates the space for communities and people of all backgrounds to realize their unique potential through the power of entrepreneurship. The RMMFI invests in entrepreneurs' personal and business development through a proven mix of classroom, coaching, capital, and community. Thank you so much for being with us today, Sera. So thank you again to all of our panelists for joining us this morning. The first topic or question that I'd like to start us off with, boot camps, accelerators, incubators, are all terms that we throw around in the ecosystem. And for an aspiring entrepreneur, somebody who's maybe business curious, can you talk, and I'll throw this out there to anyone on the panel, so whomever would like to jump in, would anyone just like to talk about the differences between these terms, how they're alike, how they're different, if an entrepreneur is hearing this terminology for the first time?
Yeah, Carrie, I'm happy to jump in. So really, I think there's kind of unique aspects to all of these, and they all kind of have their place in the ecosystem. But when I think about a boot camp, I would say that's oftentimes for someone that maybe doesn't have a lot of business experience or hasn't built a company before. So boot camp is really designed to provide a lot of that support and education and going through kind of the basics of building a business. How do you put your business together, structure it, learning about things like finance and marketing. If you move upstream a little bit to something like an accelerator, I think that's really meant for folks that maybe have built a company before, but are looking to accelerate their idea. So they have a business or a product, and they're looking to validate that within the market, maybe more research oriented, if we think about kind of that incubator situation. So accelerator is maybe you've done a lot of that research and you're looking to move your company forward and actually get that off the ground, start to make some of your sales. But if we jump to an incubator, sorry, I'm jumping back and forth, but if we think about an incubator, I would say that's really research oriented in trying to validate your idea. and really looking to understand your product market fit and your customers and things like that. So that accelerator is you maybe gone through some of that research incubation stages, and now you're looking to really get that product in the market and validate it, find that product market fit.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add? If not, yes. Thank you, Sera.
We use all 3 terms in our program pretty similarly. We actually use a 4th one, a lab. So we have a small program that starts in the beginning. That's our lab, which is like an idea exploration phase. And then our boot camp is really the fundamentals of business ownership. And it is an intense program to kind of get that foundation underneath our entrepreneurs. And the accelerator is similar. It's really just somebody who has the foundations and is looking to grow. Our incubator, which is we also have, is a way for us to seed a business. And so how do we help people test out their business idea and actually potentially try it as a retail space or something along those lines to see if it'll work.
Great, thank you. You know, many of the entrepreneurs that I sit down with or have sat down with throughout the years are unaware that such programs exist in our community. So it's so great that we are here today and we can shed some light on the uniqueness across all of your programs. So why don't we next, let's just talk a little bit about the programs and the services that are offered by each of your organizations, maybe who your target audience is. Is there a particular niche, industry, demographic? So let's spend a few minutes along that topic. And Makisha, why don't we start with you?
Sure. So SistahBiz is designed to support Black women in business who are usually bootstrappers, micro businesses, solopreneurs, but they've been in business. So we are not typically working with folks in ideation. We're working with folks who have a product, have been up and running and selling the product, usually for at least a year, so all the way up to 10 years or more. But even though they've been in business, they have still struggled to access capital. They've struggled to grow and scale the business. And so therefore the stage of business is still early in that manner. And so we provide training and coaching, and we also have a loan fund and a grant fund, and we provide tools and resources and community for them.
And Makisha, are your clients spanning across the state, across the country? What does that look like?
So we're based in Colorado, but we have national reach and even a few members in Canada and London. But our largest population is here in Colorado, Denver Metro, Arapahoe, Adams, and El Paso.
Great, thank you. Let's go with Teresa. Teresa, would you tell us a little bit about the offerings and the programs available through the Commons on Champa?
Sure. I like what Kevin said when he was describing the differences between everything. And I feel like the Commons has a little bit of everything to meet our entrepreneurs where they are. There's a place for all of these programs within the ecosystem of entrepreneurship. So I'm going to start by talking about Co-Starters, which is kind of our bread and butter here at the Commons. It's a nationally recognized program. It's 10 weeks long. We consider it an accelerator program. So it's basically for people who have an idea, have been kind of testing their idea, but maybe need a little more guidance or help or mentorship through 10 weeks focusing on all kinds of different programs like law and finance, marketing, all of that. So that that's kind of what got the Commons off the ground, was this Co-Starters group. We also do have other programs. We have a one session program that's called Will It Fly. This is for people who have an idea and they're not really sure where to take this idea or what to think about it. And this takes you through a 10-step evaluation process about how to think about your idea and how to kind of start testing the waters with your idea. And then the next step is our Bootcamp series, which is a 2-day workshop that really dives into the business basics of running a business, testing your idea. Then comes Co-Starters. And then after Co-Starters, we have a program called Champions. And this is a 5 or 6 month long program where our cohort meets once a month to talk about, again, specific topics that are relevant to the people who have gone through co-starters, who have their idea, who have been testing it, to kind of see where they can go now and get that additional support afterwards. We also have monthly programs, power hour advisory sessions that you can log on and talk to a marketing professional, a lawyer, to get one-off questions all throughout your entrepreneurship journey. And we also work really hand in hand with Carrie here, who does advisory sessions here at the Commons and virtually. And those are for anybody who has a question about really city-related things, but really anything. We've got so many mentors that can be connected through Carrie to talk to you about anything you want. So I will stop there. I feel like we have a lot that we can offer. And so I really encourage you to look at our website, thecommons.co, to kind of find where you are in your entrepreneurship journey and see how we can fit your needs.
Thank you, Teresa. Next, let's hear from Sera. Sera, would you tell us a little bit about the program offerings available through the Rocky Mountain Microfinance Institute and who you target?
Sure. So we are a community development financial institution, a CDFI. So we are a lender within our program. And so we are trying to get resources to entrepreneurs who normally can't access them through other avenues. So financial resources, mentorship, and education. We really work with solo entrepreneurs, people who we say we want to take curious people and turn them into serious entrepreneurs. So you can start with us and just say you want to explore entrepreneurship, and we can help you find that idea, to people who have been in business and need to revamp their fundamental support. The only hard requirement we have for our programming is that you make under 80% of the area mean income, because we are trying to make sure our resources go to those who need them most. We have 3 levels of programming. Our first is idea stage, which is really all about finding what's meaningful, unique, and valuable about that idea, testing the idea. And then our flagship program is in our launch phase. It's the Business Launch Bootcamp. And that is a 12-week, pretty intensive program with classes, a couple nights a week, special workshops by mentors. Each entrepreneur gets a mentor team to support them through the program, and lending comes at the end of it. And then we have a 3rd level of program, our Thrive phase, which is our accelerator phase. And we have another 12-week cohort style that's optional for our entrepreneurs there, plus tons of graduate supports. We have a club that our entrepreneurs run to support each other as they face their business difficulties. We have significantly more mentorship, access to market opportunities. We're always looking to support our entrepreneurs as they grow. We have a Denver region program that serves the greater area, North Aurora program, and those run 3 business launch bootcamp cohorts a year. We just have started our first program in rural Colorado in the San Luis Valley with a partner down there. And we started our first Spanish speaking program in the Westwood community. We're just piloting that now with a revisionist partner.
Great, you have a lot going on.
Yeah.
All right, next, let's hear from Kevin Kudra with the Rockies Venture Club. Kevin, would you tell us a little bit about the programs and the offerings through RVC and who kind of your niche, your target market is, what that looks like?
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. So really, I'll say as an organization, our goal is to connect and educate both entrepreneurs and investors. So on the investor side, looking to work with accredited investors, folks that have $1 million in net worth, or generate 200K to 300K in revenue on an annual basis. So that's really the investor side, and we're hosting a number of pitch events on a monthly basis to help showcase investment opportunities to these folks. On the other side, really trying to help these early stage entrepreneurs, what we would say in the pre-seed or seed range, so maybe pre-revenue or early into their revenue. And so we have educational offerings, which are designed to help these folks better understand how to prepare for fundraising, so going out to work with angel or VC investors. And then really for the entire startup community and ecosystem, we host these monthly pitch events and conferences. As you mentioned, our Angel Capital Summit and our Colorado Capital Conference, we host those twice a year. And those are really just meant to be large events to help educate and connect folks. We bring in a variety of industry leaders to help talk through different topics that are going on in startup ecosystem. But really meant to be a networking event to showcase, what's going on in our ecosystem. And then I'll say we have those various 15 different classes and workshops that I talked through that are helping entrepreneurs refine their things like their pitch, their go-to-market strategy, their capital strategy, get their ducks in a row for due diligence, and really prepare them to have these conversations with investors. So I would say that's kind of the sweet spot, are these folks that, you know, they have developed their idea, they have a product, and maybe they're just getting into their revenue cycle or slightly before that, is really a good fit to go through some of those educational programs. But we have some other classes like our funding masterminds, which you mentioned in our introduction at the beginning, which is really meant to be a resource for entrepreneurs of all stages. We see a lot of folks that, you know, maybe they spent a long time working in their corporate careers, are now looking to transition and start their own business. So that's really meant to be an open opportunity where investors, service providers, and our team can get together, work with these entrepreneurs, and help provide them, you know, some feedback so they can overcome these dilemmas.
Great, thank you. Next, I'd just like to talk, and I think each of you touched on this a little bit, but equity is on all of our brains, as it should be. And I'm just curious if you could talk a little bit about what your organization is doing to certainly reach diverse populations from a social mobility standpoint. What does, you know, your organization's equity strategy look like? I imagine attendees on this call, I imagine us to have a very diverse group, you know, some business curious, some solopreneurs that may be working out of their basement or their garage, others that may be looking to career transition, not to mention diversity in terms of demographics and ages. So again, with regards to equity and ensuring that your programs are accessible and available, would you talk just a little bit about kind of the work that your organization is doing around that? And maybe we start with Sera, if you have anything to add on that topic.
Yeah, you know, from our programming standpoint, we've made a very deep investment as an organization, I think similar to many people over the last year. And on an organizational level, we started a DEI committee to help look at all of how we function. And we invited our entrepreneurs to be a part of that. We've invited our entrepreneurs to be a part of our board. We try to solicit their feedback on everything we do. A big part of our North Star and what we look to is activating the possible for our community. And that's self-efficacy. And that means bringing more and more of our entrepreneurs into the conversation as we build and do our work. You know, besides that, really, our program is designed to get to people who are resource deprived, and unfortunately, those are the communities of color and people who have been pushed out of the traditional means of accessing resources. So our program overwhelmingly serves people of color and women by and large, simply because we're accessible and easy to get into for those reasons. So, you know, we just keep incorporating everyone we can into the conversation to make sure everything we build is right for the community we want to work with.
Thank you so much. And Makisha, certainly the work that you're doing with Black women being underfunded and coming up against a lot of barriers, you know, do you just want to talk about maybe how SistahBiz came to be and the work that you're doing around reaching this population?
Sure. So we launched in 2018. It started pretty organically with a couple of women approaching me about getting coaching support and mentorship in my home. It grew to 10 women, then 50, then 150, and the story goes on. We layered on programming from year to year based on the needs of the community. As we began to meet as a group and community and network, we began to identify sort of the root causes and some of the gaps and missing resources that Black women entrepreneurs experience. And so we started with coaching and training, but then we quickly realized that we wanted to emphasize access to capital and loan and scale readiness. And so we have a 9-month cohort where we take folks through a group cohort sessions, individual coaching, accountability coaching on a monthly basis for 9 months to help them get loan ready and scale ready and build growth strategies for their business. We also work with them through racial trauma and healing work. So we have our Black Girl Therapy sessions. We have very real discussions and mentorship from other Black women coaches and professionals to help them sort through some of the emotional and mindset issues that come with and are unique to the Black woman in business. We have our boot camps as well, where we bring women together and we create a lot of collaborative structures, masterminds and leads groups and giving circles where women work in small, intimate groups together to support each other. And so when I think about equity for us, it is what we are. It's what we do. Our entire organization is Black led and Black serving, and we are in many ways the lowest on the totem pole for many areas of business, and so that's just our work from day to day.
Thank you. Thank you. Teresa, would you like to comment on this? How is the Commons, reaching diverse segments of the population? How does equity play into the conversation? Can you comment on that?
Sure. So we have been committed to making Denver the best place for diverse entrepreneurs for starting and growing a business. And that's built into the very fiber of what the Commons is. We are actually a free public space that anybody can come into when we're open. We're actually not even open to the public right now because of COVID, but we're hoping we can open soon. But prior to COVID, we have our innovation lounge where anybody can come in, log on to our free Wi-Fi and do work. And so that is just, we're really trying to open it up and be a place where anybody can come. When it comes to our programming, we aim to have 70% of our program participants who are in these underserved communities or populations, and we've stuck to that. And so we look at all the applications, we really try to think through how can we present not just a good cohort, but a diverse cohort with people from different backgrounds, because I think what tends to happen sometimes is you get people that are on the same track and then you make decisions and then you're forgetting about all the other aspects and the pieces. And so we're really trying to think through all of that. We've had a women's council. We've done programs for military veterans specifically. And so we're really trying to think through how we can better do that and serve our community. And I think it was Sera who said, we're just asking what our community needs. And in the next few months, that's going to be our plan, is to, while we're trying to think about reopening to the public, what does our community need in what areas in this equity thought, like what can the Commons continue to do and do more of to really make sure that the barriers to entrepreneurship are low and anybody can join.
Great, thank you very much. And next, Kevin. Kevin, how is the Rockies Venture Club looking at equity? I know certainly there are a lot of challenges out there. What is the Rockies Venture Club doing just to ensure that investors as well as program participants, that you're reaching that diverse audience?
Yeah, I'll say I've been very impressed with our community of investors, and this is something that I found everyone is very passionate about in helping support these BIPOC and female founders. So I think similar to what Sera said, starting from the top down, we've tried to get diversity into our board, and we see that trickle down into our community. We're working to expand the number of BIPOC investors in our community, as we found a lot of folks, oftentimes investors are investing in folks that look like them or come from their backgrounds or understand the challenges that they have faced. So looking to diversify our investor pool. We've done that through our Women's Investor Network. I'm proud to say that about 40% of our portfolio is female-led companies, and then about 18% are BIPOC founders. So definitely some work to be done there. But on the educational side, we've worked to give scholarships to some of these BIPOC founders who might not have access to some of these educational tools or resources initially. And then I'll say when it comes to the investing side, we typically look at kind of a traditional venture capital or angel investing model, but we've worked with folks. I saw Diane Miles was in the intro video. And so we worked with folks like her to say, we really love the work that you're doing in the community. This is making a positive impact and really essential, but it might not necessarily fit this venture capital model. So we've worked to meet entrepreneurs where they are and to try and create an investment strategy that would really fit their company and our investors at the same time. So we've looked at things like revenue-based investments, as well as donor advised funds to say, we want to give you guys this capital and help grow your business and give that back to the community and spur economic development. So kind of a variety of things there, but trying to lower that bar of access for a lot of these BIPOC founders. One additional thing that I'll add, we're starting to do this in the new year, but we call it our Friends and Family Fridays. We found a lot of BIPOC founders don't necessarily have friends and family that can provide some of that early financing to get their company off the ground. So we're looking to showcase early stage companies and help give them access to some of that capital, in the lower investment amounts of maybe $20,000, $50,000 kind of thing. Whereas we typically work with entrepreneurs that are raising anywhere from 250K up to 4 million. So.
Thank you so much. And I would actually like, Kevin, for you to talk about, and I think you just kind of gave good indication of who your kind of target market is with regards to industry. But I imagine we have folks on the call who, may be looking to start a coffee shop, maybe looking to start a doggy daycare business, maybe looking to develop an app or the next latest and greatest tech platform. Would you speak just a little bit about kind of who the target market is for the Rockies Venture Club with regards to industry and business activity?
Yeah, so to start off, I'll say we're industry agnostic. So kind of anything across the board. We look at investment opportunities in tech, clean tech, life sciences makes up about a third of what we do on an annual basis. So really we're open to a variety of industries. And really, we're just looking for great business opportunities. At the same time, I'll say venture capital is a specific model where you're looking to grow your company very quickly and then sell it or exit your company in 5 to 10 year timeframe to provide a return on investment for your investors. So we very much take that approach in saying, our angel investors are looking to get a return on this so they can recycle that money back into our local economy and create more jobs. So trying to think about, how quickly can your company scale to get up to, significant revenue where a larger company would want to acquire them. So if you think about some of the things that you mentioned, Carrie, like your doggy daycare, your coffee shop, those are oftentimes great businesses, but they're not going to scale to provide that return on investment. So we say venture capital is just kind of one tool in the toolbox. And that's why it's so awesome to work with the other folks on this panel, because we're able to refer entrepreneurs back and forth and say, venture capital might not be a good fit for you. It's some of the most expensive capital that you could ever get because you have to return that 10x return to investors at the end of this lifespan. And many people want to, retain ownership of their business and continue to run that for the rest of their lives. And, we completely understand that, but that's not necessarily the investment structure that we're following. So I hope that helped provide some context.
It did. Thank you so much. Would any of the other panelists like to comment on kind of industry targets? Or should we assume your organizations are industry agnostic? I see Makisha has taken herself off of mute.
Sure. So we have a focus on a few strands with an overall focus of trying to help our folks with growth strategies via what we call the big deal. And so in our mind, sometimes, and not in our mind, in the stats and the data rather, we know that it's very difficult for Black women to access capital via angel investors, even friends and family, because of the wealth gap in the Black community, and VC funds, and often don't want to go to VC route and aren't interested in that sort of exit strategy. But they are bootstrapping and solopreneurs and do need capital for some sort of growth strategy. So sometimes for them, it's about a revenue-based approach to pouring money and dollars back into the business. So helping them shift from B2C to B2B or B2G so that they can land their first big deal or contract that is 6 figures that they can infuse into the business is a way for them to grow a team, grow the business, and begin their process of growth and scale. So We try to do that with a couple of strands of business types of businesses. In the service-based space, we're looking at those who offer professional services, because we know a large number of our Black women businesses are in that space. And so we're looking at accountants or social media managers, marketing firms, HR firms, DEI consultants. And we're looking at helping them get certified and leading them to government contracts. In the service-based business, the product-based space, a lot of our folks are product-based at the farmers market, and we're trying to help them access commercial facilities, get aligned with regulatory compliance so that they can land wholesale and retail store contracts and accounts to place their products on shelves in stores. And so that's kind of the two main strands. We do also have a large number of like service-based storefronts like salons and that sort of thing. So we help that group as well. And often their version of expansion is to have multiple locations, and so helping them think about how to expand their businesses. So those are probably the main areas where we service folks. And so as a result, our cohort model is targeting those industries.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Makisha. Teresa or Sera, do either of you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would say, we are a micro lender. So we are looking to lend to people who are not needing large amounts of capital to start their business out. But that said, we've often worked with our entrepreneurs who thought they needed $100,000 to start their business, and they were able to get started, with very little to really dig into their business model. But our first loan package is $2,500. We genuinely believe that capital without capacity can do a lot of harm to people. And we invest in the person, and we do not look at the credit score or any of those traditional backgrounds for our lending. We look at the people and who they are and their potential for their business. And so we start small and grow big. Our lending packages go up to $75,000. If you stick with us and stay in our program and our community, we keep lending, and we're happy to keep lending. But we're not really going to be your venture capital lender. We love also working with our partners to find our entrepreneurs' needs when they get to that level.
Great, thank you so much. And Teresa, any final comments before we shift gears?
Yeah, sure. I really love the term industry agnostic. Kevin, I might have to use that from now on. That's really great. We are too. And again, there's no investments from the commons. We can connect you to those people that can do that, but because we don't do any of that personally, we really do welcome everybody who has an idea. And as we've talked about the programming, we try to have different kinds of programming for every stage of the entrepreneurial journey. So we're open to everybody. The thing that we look at is, especially for our co-starters program, that we just have a diverse array of businesses. We don't like to duplicate within each co-starters cohort. We just want a different business in each one. And again, I'll touch on what Kevin said is what I found about the entrepreneurial community here in Denver is that everyone wants to help. Everyone wants to refer. If we can't help you, we know somebody who can. And so take advantage of just asking those questions. And even if you don't think it's the right place to start, that organization is likely going to help you find what you need. So just put it out there, and hopefully you will see the reward in just asking.
Excellent, great. So we have about 20 minutes left of our discussion, and I would like to reserve the final 10 minutes for Q&A with our attendees here today. One of the questions that I would like to ask each of you, just very anecdotally, again, I imagine we have a fairly diverse audience with us today, from solopreneurs to existing small companies to those that are business curious. What advice, let's assume the majority are in that business curious, maybe 1 year in, what advice, tips or tricks would you give those who are listening to ensure that they are developing a solid foundation, taking advantage of all that Denver's rich ecosystem has to offer? Just any advice or tips or tricks you might offer to ensure that they successfully launch and grow and are successful. Who would like to begin?
I can jump right on in. This is taken from, I actually went through our co-starters program back in 2016. But one of the biggest things I took away with that was that we had homework every week for whatever topic we were working on. And it was to find 3 strangers and tell them about your business and get instant, immediate feedback. And that was really hard because you're going up to strangers, you don't know them. And, you know, I think people can identify with that. But it was so helpful because what makes sense to you, especially as you're growing your business, you're building the foundation, it makes sense what you're trying to do, but the way you might be talking about it, or maybe there's a perspective you didn't think about that by talking to a complete stranger, it just kind of connected the dots for you. Like, oh gosh, that's not at all what I'm talking about. And what I'm saying obviously is not clear. So I have to change my messaging a bit. And so it was, you know, we had even markers every check-in, we'd say, I talked to my 3 or I talked to my 5, and this is what I've learned. And so I think that was one of the biggest things, tips or tricks that as you're starting out is just talk to everybody, talk to your family and your friends, but really the strangers who know nothing about you, nothing about your idea. They can provide some really profound observations.
Super, thank you so much. Makisha, would you like to comment on that? What advice would you give Black women who are on this call? Advice, tips, tricks. We may not have enough time. We need to extend our session. But for entrepreneurs listening, what would be your tips, tricks, advice to send them on the right path?
Build a network. Build a network, build a cabinet, go to everything you can to find the experts in your industry and in business that can be there to answer questions and help you figure out how to avoid the potholes. And so build a really solid network and take advantage of the network, ask questions, and then also just really embrace discovery. Don't be so in love with your product or idea that you're unwilling to let it evolve and evolve quickly and go through an iterative process throughout the first year or 2. It's always there, but especially in that beginning, you have to be willing to build on what Teresa said. You have to be willing to take feedback and make constant improvements. I always tell the women in our network, like iPhone, you know, goes through a lot of trouble to make a ton of updates and changes to the phone, the models. People get in line for the next model all the time. What makes you think you don't have to do the same thing? Like, you have to iterate, you have to evolve. It helps you to stay competitive. It helps you to really be responsive to customer needs as they evolve, and it helps ensure your success.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Sera, any advice you would offer from your observation with the clientele that you've worked with at RMMFI, and any advice, tips, or tricks that you would like to share?
I second everything Makisha said. I really agree with all of that. And, you know, I would just say, access your resources like these programs. You know, we are worth the time you're worth the time to invest in yourself, to set up the business and start on solid ground. It's always harder when you have to kind of go back and revamp all the things. And so invest in your own education, invest in your own time. I know that, you know, a lot of the entrepreneurs we work with have so many competing priorities in their lives, and it's really hard to make that balance. But if you can and you're able, take the time to go to the classes, get the foundation under your feet, and set up your business with a solid ground.
Great. Thank you so much, Sera. And Kevin, from your standpoint, tech entrepreneurs, scalable companies, what advice, tips, or tricks might you share as they're embarking on this journey?
Well, I'll really echo everyone's comments previously. I think we are so lucky to be in Colorado and Denver in such a collaborative community, whereas some of our other ecosystems throughout the country are not necessarily the same, a lot more competitive. So I think leveraging those resources, kind of building what I would say a personal board of advisors, industry experts, people that can help guide you through the ecosystem. I think there's so many people that are just willing to help and will make those introductions. So, you know, be a part of it, dive in head first, and be receptive and open to people's connections and feedback. So I think that's really the best way. But I think, you know, as some of these entrepreneurs are trying to get their ideas off the ground. One of the challenges that I often see folks going down the road is, they say, I have this idea, now I need to build a product, without really validating that that's a major problem or that people would be willing to pay for something like that. And so I see so many folks that say, I have this idea, I just need to raise this money so I can build this product. And that's a very, very dangerous thing because you really haven't validated that people are willing to pay for it. So I think leveraging those resources, doing your research, connecting with as many potential customers and things like that early on to get that feedback and refine it. I love what Makisha said, and not being married to your idea early on, because oftentimes we see entrepreneurs pivot multiple times before they actually come to their final product. So I think being open and receptive to those folks around you.
Okay, great. Super. So we've learned about 10-week programs, 12-week programs, one-off educational programming. One question that I'd like to ask, particularly around kind of the bootcamp accelerator programs, do you offer post-program support? So if I went through the Comments on Champa's co-starters, or if I participated in a hyper accelerator program through the Rockies Venture Club, or the bootcamp through RMMFI, or the bootcamp program through SistahBiz, is there post-program support, and what does that look like? Whoever would like to start. Makisha, will you comment on that?
Sure. Well, once you're in SistahBiz, you're in. You're in, and we got your back. And so we offer all sorts of support. And I don't think I did a thorough job of mentioning all the things, because we do have a ton of things. We do free coaching sessions. You can go online right now and get a free coaching session with a Black business coach. We have a loan fund. We have a grant fund. We have a 3-day retreat. We're all headed to Phoenix to help everyone build their strategic plans for the 2022 year. And then we have a clinic. So alongside all the training and learning during the programs and after, if you need services to accompany those training and learning, which you often do, because you can learn about sales funnels, but the learning curve to actually build one effectively could really kind of put you out of business if you did it alone. And so we have marketing professionals, we have an accounting clinic staffed with Black women accountants, we have all sorts of services that we provide. And when you're in the program, after the program, whenever you need anything, you can come back. And most of the women that participate in our program participate in all the programs and call whenever they need something, and help each other out as well.
Great. So that's very ongoing. Excellent. Sera, would you like to briefly comment on that?
We're really similar. Once you're part of the RMMFI family, you're in the RMMFI family. We are happy to support you for the entire life cycle of your business, and so we specifically, though, have built in some things that are post-programming that have been really successful. And so after our boot camp ends, we actually work with all of our graduates for a year on launch plans and just goal settings. So 3-month check-ins where we kind of connect with our entrepreneur, check in on them as whole people. Life happens in that time. We want to refer people to partner resources and making sure that they are happy and doing well, both as people and in their business. And so we have a year of check-ins with that. On top of that, we have a monthly graduate workshop series. We have a monthly Bamboo Club social meeting. We have specialized mentorship that's available to our entrepreneurs at any time. And we have a 3rd level of programming after that has a Thrive Business Accelerator now. So we have a second 12-week cohort for people who are ready to elevate their business. And then we offer loans up to $75,000. We just will keep lending to people as long as they need funding. We're happy to be there for our entrepreneurs.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And Kevin, would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, I'll say we're very much the same as these other folks had mentioned. But I'll say, when you're looking to raise early stage funding, it's very much relationship-based business. So I found those folks that are very successful in diving in, building these relationships before asking for money is so helpful in moving them, down the path. But I think our entire organization is structured to help support people as they go, in various stages. And so oftentimes we'll have so many entrepreneurs that will apply to pitch early on, get some initial feedback and say, you may not be ready yet. We'd like to see you accomplish these goals. And then they can come back 6 to 12 months later and actually make it through that process. But in the meanwhile, getting in front of some of these investors in our community, attending some of these events and connecting with them is a great way to get some of these folks on board or kind of in your corner as you look to raise this capital. And then even post-investment, we provide a ton of support. Oftentimes we will help, position people on your board to help move your business forward, make introductions to additional investors down the road, because we understand we're only one piece of the capital puzzle, and then bringing in other angels as we work as a part of the Angel Capital Association. So the larger overarching group of angels across the nation. So we're happy to make introductions there or to folks that might be a good fit, customer introductions, things like that. So we really provide a lot of support in different areas depending on where you are as an entrepreneur in this fundraising life cycle.
Awesome, great. I see there's a theme here. There's a very common theme. So Teresa, when a participant completes the 2-day business boot camp or the 10-week co-starters program, are they graduated? Are they done with the Commons? Or what sort of support will the Commons continue to offer? Or does the Commons offer additional support?
Yes, we do. Very similar to everybody here who has said that once you're in, you're in. And actually, when we talk about co-starters in our programs and we say apply, be part of it, and not only do you get the program, you get the Commons family. And we really work hard on helping you post our programs to connect you with the resources you need. And again, as we've said, that it's a really collaborative environment here in Denver, that we can connect you to those people that you need. And again, because we are an actual space post-COVID, we're hoping that you can come in and just get your work done here. And it's amazing the connections that you can see with entrepreneurs who've never met, that instantly they're working and they're talking. And so we just have this kind of ad hoc support that you can find here at the Commons, as well as some of our programs like Champions, which is the post-accelerator program, the monthly check-in. And then we offer, ongoing advisory hours, power hours, things like that, that you can find a way to get your question answered. So yes, we do provide lots of support. And if we don't have it personally, we help connect you with who can help you with that certain issue or question.
Great, excellent. So for those that are on the call and listening, these are 4 fantastic organizations that really provide a comprehensive level of technical support. So we're fortunate enough to live in this community, and I would just encourage you to dig in a bit deeper after this call and to learn more. Okay, so next, let's just take a few minutes. I'm going to go through the chat here. Matthew McLeod has been very persistent, and his question is, what are some of the ways incubators help validate product market fit? And I did see that Makisha has commented in that she's seen incubator programs that give assignments where entrepreneurs go out and speak and sell to strangers, develop pre-sale / pre-launch sales, get in front of ideal customers, focus groups or interviews to get feedback on mock-ups and prototypes, etc. So again, Matthew's question, what are some concrete examples of how incubators help entrepreneurs validate product market fit? Would anyone else like to comment on that question?
We have a physical space that we have an entrepreneur who completed our boot camp who's set up a shop in and is testing their model of business. But, with everything going on with the pandemic, less physical spaces, one of the things we've really looked to support is our seed loans, which we give out in our idea phase. And it's really low barrier loans that go up to $500. And we put you with a mentor to work on that loan and create a test to understand if your product is going to be successful. And so a really great example of what this might be like is maybe you make the best pasta sauce and it's like really awesome, but you've never bottled it or tried to sell it to someone outside your family. We can give you a loan to test what it takes to bottle it and then market it, so you can know if it's really as successful as you'd like it to be. And we can do that prior to boot camp before you make a 12-week commitment to really launch that business.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, another question. What would be the best place to start looking for pre-seed investments to develop the prototype / MVP Investing own money might take a much longer time to accumulate. Oh, I just lost it. My chat just, my chat just moved. Somebody, okay. Might take a much longer time to accumulate the necessary capital for me to build the test product. So what would be the best place to start looking for pre-seed investments to develop the prototype? Kevin, you might be able to speak to that.
Yeah, well, I'll say at Rockies Venture Club, that's really the sandbox that we play in, is that pre-seed and seed investment range. So I would say we'll show our contact information at the end of this. Please feel free to reach out. More than happy to chat with you and kind of help talk you through some of that. But I think some of our other friends on the panel might have some recommendations as well. But I think we're a good starting point and always willing to help you get through some of those hurdles. But as I mentioned, I think, trying to do some of that early understanding of your customer and really validating this idea before you go down that route and building out that MVP is really essential. But it sounds like you've done that. So now you're just looking to, build out that product and start to get some customer feedback. So yeah, I'd say please feel free to reach out. I'll drop my contact in the chat.
That sounds great. Kevin, another question that came up for you, I just didn't want to miss it, but the November Hyper Accelerator program, will that be in person? Will that be hybrid? Maybe how does one register and/or what are the costs associated with that?
Yeah, so the Hyper Accelerator we have going on right now is in partnership with the University of Colorado. So this is specifically for entrepreneurs coming out of their tech transfer office. So not open to the broader community like they typically are. So this one has all been virtual, and it's tying in some other programs from the university. They've been doing their research to market over the last couple of months. So doing a lot of those customer interviews that we talked about. And I know some of them have made pivots already. But for this program specifically, that will be mainly virtual, and then we'll have a demo day in January, giving those folks a little bit of time to prepare their pitch and things like that. In terms of the cost, it's about $3,000 for a participant to go through that. But as I mentioned, comes with a ton of resources, connections, and then really allows you at the end of that to showcase or kick off your fundraising at our demo day. So that immediately puts you into the RVC investment process, engaging our investor interest to see, is there enough to actually put together an investment from our angels.
Excellent. Great. Does anyone else want to comment? Is your programming currently being offered virtually, hybrid? Does anyone briefly want to comment on that? What are the expenses associated with joining your programs? I mean, real brief here. Who would like to comment on that?
SistahBiz is mostly virtual. We have one event at the end of the year. Like I said, we're headed to Phoenix for our 3-day retreat, and that's in person, but we're mostly virtual because we have a national reach for our boot camps. And then what was the second part of the question?
How does one register and/or what might the cost look like?
So we have free coaching calls. Our boot camps are free, and we provide Uber Eats coupons for meals. And our 9-month cohort is free. You have to apply though and be accepted. We do have a paid membership for all of the ongoing trainings and master classes.
Excellent.
We've been mainly virtual since the pandemic. We've pivoted and are running almost everything virtual, though we are testing our first hybrid program with our Spanish speaking program, just because with language changes and barrier being technology, although we provide every entrepreneur in our program with laptops if you participate, so you can be in the virtual world at no cost to the entrepreneur. But that we are testing hybrid and thinking about what hybrid might look like for the future of our programming as we kind of move through these uncertain times, but we are mainly hybrid. We ask for a $25 deposit for our Idea Lab. It is not meant to be a barrier in any way. So if our entrepreneurs can't afford it, not an issue, but it's mostly because, we want to have a little buy-in, and our boot camp is $150, and anybody who got into Idea Lab, that deposit transfers over, and you have until the end of boot camp to pay off the $150 fee for our program. Not meant to be a barrier to accessing it. So we try to make it as easy as possible to be a part of our programming. And if you're interested, go to rmmfi.org. You can fill out a quick 2-minute survey, and someone on our staff will be in touch with you within a week or so.
Excellent. And real quickly, Teresa, our programming at the Commons, is it hybrid? Is it in person? What might the cost for co-starters look like?
We are doing a hybrid version now. A lot of our programs are virtual, but for co-starters, we do a couple in-person meetings and then the rest are done virtually. And that is $350 for the 10-week program, but we do provide financial assistance.
Excellent. You know, and one comment I'll make, I've seen a lot of great comments in the chat. I would encourage all of you to subscribe to the organization's newsletters who you most maybe resonate with. So that's a really great way to stay engaged, is just subscribe to these monthly newsletters because they're always sending out really excellent information. And again, I just want to thank our panelists for being here with us today. I am going to attempt to share my screen. Are you able to see this contact us slide?
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Take a screenshot. Really want to say thank you to our panelists today. This was a really great conversation. And thank you for doing all of the work that you do and supporting Denver's entrepreneurial ecosystem. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.